Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I have returned to the West Point Mangrove Preserve because I'm basically going to hike into the very deepest part of the mangroves in order to check out the oldest grove of trees, surviving trees, on Key Biscayne. In order to do that, I'm going to have to go through some really thick mangrove forest, but that's still ahead. Right now it's still kind of smooth sailing through this area right here. First thing I noticed since coming out here was all the damage that's been done since Hurricane Irma hit the area. You can see down trees like that one over there, over here. Mind you, a lot of these trees were already dead. When Irma hit, they were just kind of knocked over. Because red mangrove roots have this sweeping, like buttressing structure so that they hold up the trunk. It's really hard to knock over a healthy adult red mangrove unless you got insane winds. But also I'm noticing that the canopy has been significantly defoliated, and even though it's been several months, it still hasn't completely recovered. But out of all ecosystems, honestly, in South Florida, mangrove forests are definitely the most resilient when it comes to hurricanes, because that's just what they've evolved to withstand. We've come to the end of the beaten trail. Not really, but just the end of my section of the beaten trail. And now it's time to go due west, straight through all of that. So, let's get going. When you're traveling through this really, really thick mangrove forest with absolutely no terrain features and very few, if any, landmarks at all, it's imperative, absolutely critical, that you bring one of these. It's a compass. Also, you bring some mosquito netting because there are tons of mosquitoes out here. But I know that I have a general bearing, which is westward, so I don't have to follow a particular azimuth, so that's easy. I just have to make my way out to Biscayne Bay. And when you just have a general direction you have to follow, I find the best way to do it is to just kind of stop for a second, get your bearing, point to a tree or whatever you need to, and that just follows that bearing. Just walk to that, take your time. Once you get there, stop again, get your bearing again, pick another tree, just walk to that again. Because I've been in situations like these where I didn't have a compass, or I wasn't paying attention to my compass, and I literally walked in a circle. And it's the most demoralizing thing in the world. This might seem like an ancient mangrove forest that's been here forever, but it's not. And the reason I know that is, one, looking at the trunks and looking at the thickness of the undergrowth made up of other mangroves, because a mature mangrove forest has much, much bigger trees and much sparser undergrowth. Secondly, I've actually looked at aerial photographs of the area, and this whole area used to be a tropical savanna. So it was high ground, and it had all sorts of trees and shrubs that could not survive in this submerged habitat. What happened was that at some point, I think in the 1940s or 50s, some US government agency came in here and dug out a ton of canals and submerged the entire landscape. Whoa! And that allowed these mangroves to come in and take over. But the area that I'm going to, according to these aerial surveys and my own experience hiking out here in the past, was not touched. Therefore, it has the oldest mangrove grove on the entire island. And that's what we're gonna go check out today. This is some really, really thick mangrove forest. I just want you to get a good look at it. Visibility is maybe, I don't know, 25 feet at best. It is so easy to get lost in here. So if you are not experienced when it comes to entering and navigating through mangrove swamps, please, for the love of God, do not go into one and just start hiking off in a direction, because it is really easy to get hurt out here. You could twist an ankle so easily. You could get dehydrated. You get freaking swarmed by mosquitoes. Any number of things could happen to you out here. Puncture wound. If you're by yourself, there's no way anyone's gonna find you if you pass out. Mind you, also, mangrove swamps are tidal. So if you happen to fall down, hit your head, and pass out, and at low tide, and then the tide rolls in, guess what? You're gonna drown. So once again, if you're not experienced doing this, you haven't been out here before, or spent a significant amount of time in mangrove swamps, do not come out here. Check out the number of mangrove tree crabs on this tree. There's another one. There's another one. As you can tell, their defense mechanism is to just jump down from the tree into the water. Right. The swamp is clearing out a little bit. Now we're about to get to the high ground, and just through the trees over there you can actually see Biscayne Bay. So I've gone about as far west as I am gonna go, and then it's time to turn north. This high ground area shadows the coast, which you can see over there, peeking through the mangroves, all the way north. And you know, you'll find mostly mangroves here, black mangroves, white mangroves. There's a black mangrove right there. Some other shrubs, so occasional palm tree or two, coconuts. But it's makes for way easier walking than going through the swamp that I just came out of. Word to the wise, do not ever come here in the summer. Right now it's like mid-November and the mosquitoes are significantly suppressed, even though it's still about 80 degrees outside. We got some sea grape here. But I came out here once in like July, and I mean, I was the biggest thing these mosquitoes had ever seen, and it was just like, you know, ringing the dinner bell. I was swarmed by hundreds and hundreds of them, and even though I wear long sleeves, mosquito netting and all that, like, I could still feel them just crawling all over me, despite being doused in mosquito spray. So yeah, they'll just swarm all over you. And I actually try to get away from them by going into the ocean over there and walking along the coast. And that was an even worse idea, because little did I know that shallow bay out there is also swarming only with jellyfish. So again, I'm wearing long sleeve ACU pants, which are pretty thick, but I could still, every step I took, I could feel like just getting stung over and over and over again. It took days for me to like heal up from that. So if you ever choose to come out here, definitely pick the right time of year and do not go into the ocean. Somebody came out here with a chainsaw a long time ago and cut this tree down. That's super weird. And I just left it here. It makes no sense. You saw what I just went through to get here. So that means that anyone with half a brain who wanted to get in here would have to come in through via boat, and come in here, cut down this one tree, and then leave. I have no idea why they would do that. I'm noticing more and more of these cut down tree stumps. There, all over the place. And I'm starting to think that this happened decades ago, when this area, I guess the habitat was altered. Otherwise, I can't think of a reason for why anyone would do this. Come out here and cut down these trees. Here's another stump. But yeah, the more I look online, the more puzzling it becomes, because I haven't been able to find any good accounts of what happened here and why. To a canal, which I did not expect to see. I have not come across this ever on my trips over here, so that's really odd. But I don't know if the storm formed it or what, but here it is. And I'm gonna have to cross it. I'm gonna go up a little farther. I don't wanna step in there. And we're across, more or less. There. What is all this about? Somebody came out here and hammered this into the banyan tree here. Also, what the hell's a banyan doing out here? Super weird. There's some more lashings. Got a bunch of old 2x4s here. There. Oh, that's pretty crazy. Wow. Look at this big guy. Jesus. It's huge. It's still alive. This is a black mangrove. It's massive. But this is what a more mature, older mangrove swamp looks like. You've got way more space, bigger trees, thicker trunks, more spread out, and it's just really nice to walk through compared to like the younger forest that I had to go through in order to get here. It's so quiet and peaceful out here. This alone is why it's worth it to make that ridiculous trek. Looks like somebody's boat got torn free from its moorings at a marina or somewhere and deposited here. Looks like a sailboat, maybe? But that's actually not a very rare sight to see out here along the coastal mangroves. Yeah, you can find shipwrecks all over the place. Wow. Would you look at this? Someone came out here and built a platform right on the coast. And there's some old plywood here. Clearly, there was an older platform out here, which was destroyed. And someone, pretty recently, built a new one. That's new plywood. New 2x4s. Wow. This is all brand new. They even got more plywood here. And more 2x4s and 4x4s to keep building. Wow, that's a lot of fish down there. Holy crap. Looks like anchovies, herring. But this is really cool. There was another platform farther down the coast that was destroyed maybe about a year and a half ago. So maybe it's the same people who built that who are now building this. That's really cool. I'd like to introduce everybody to the golden orb spinner, or golden orb spider, also known as the banana spider. It's one of the largest arachnids you'll find in South Florida. It's also completely harmless. Its venom does not hurt humans at all, but it is a very impressive spider. You'll see these guys all over the place out here. Finally got to a little bit of high ground here. Over in this direction, you've got Biscayne Bay. Over here, you've got Bear Cut. I'm heading straight to West Point. It's right in the middle of the two. And this is actually why the West Point Preserve has its name. And as the name implies, this is the most westerly point in all of Key Biscayne. And it took me just under 2 hours of scrambling through the mangroves, to get here. But as you'll see in a second, the view is totally worth it. All right, this is it. This is the end of the line. You do not get more remote than this in Key Biscayne. As you can tell, I'm at the very, very end of the mangroves. And like I said, it took me just under 2 hours to get here. And I should have enough sunlight, knock on wood, to get back. So, time to head back. Moving back through the older mangrove grove. Got nice and open again. Still got a long ways to go. Back at the canal, which is significantly lower than it was before, because the tide's been going down this entire time. So you can just cross it rather than have to climb over the mangroves. There we go. That's easier. Those are definitely raccoon prints, which means I'm not the only mammal out here. Okay, now it's time for the really tough part, which is leaving the high ground and going back through the super thick mangroves. This stuff is so thick. Oh man. Finally made it out of the super thick mangroves and back onto something of a path. All right. I am just about... Whoa! Wow. That's actually the first time I fell the entire hike. But I am just about out of the swamp. The whole thing took me 3 hours. 3 hours and 1 minute. So I went a lot faster hiking out than hiking in. Oh. That's what happens when you're not concentrated on the trail. You get a freaking spider in your face. But hope you enjoyed it. It was a really awesome hike for me, really awesome trek. I haven't been out here in quite a few years, and it's nice to be able to see, the mangroves and all the other habitats out here. But hope you enjoyed it. If so, please share and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys around next time.